Welcome to the Coach's Table Podcast, where coaches come to grow personally and professionally through real-world application and online education. What's going on, everybody? Happy to be with you for another episode. Super excited for this one. The guest that we have on today brings so much value on a multitude of fronts that answers kind of a lot of questions that strength and conditioning coaches or people in general like to know and like to know more about. Before we get started, before I introduce him, just like everything, guys, if you get anything from this episode, if you get entertained, if you get encouraged, if you get one thing from this episode, all we ask is you please share this with a friend. We are growing at a fantastic rate, and it's all organic. And so if you're listening, please share this with a friend, somebody that you think will get value from this. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a huge favor there. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. We are growing on YouTube as well. We are growing very rapidly, which is awesome. So if you're not on YouTube, go watch that and check that out as well. But if you are listening and you get one thing from this, guys, all I ask, it's the only ask I have, share this with a friend. That's the only way the show grows. So today's guest is someone that has been around for a minute, is very intelligent, has a plethora of experiences, both as a former college baseball player, as a collegiate strength and conditioning coach from major universities. For those of you that don't know, he worked at Florida State, LSU, Nova Southeastern, Southern Miss, Arkansas State, Liberty, and was a college baseball player, has a wife who now they both have started their own facility, or not, excuse me, but their own company, 13 Bar Performance, and he has over 16 years of special operations tactical training as a strength and conditioning coach. So without further ado, Mr. Shelton Stevens, what is going on?
How are you doing, man? Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. Reading that, researching you, I was like, this guy has a tremendous amount of information, education. That's just not degrees. That's just not, certifications. It's real world experience in a multitude of ways, from both what you've done as a player to as a coach to the tactical world. And we first connected from a kind of like a psychological aspect. We kind of chatted on social media about that. And I'm, obviously super interested in that. But man, kind of looking at your career, if you will, what are the kind of like the 2 or 3 things that have like really stuck out to you, consistently, good things or bad things, right? Whether it's the tactical, whether it's strength and conditioning, what are 2 or 3 things that you're like, you know what, if I'm going to hang my hat on these things, these are things that are super consistent?
Yeah. I think from a consistency standpoint, I really think how a person's wired, how they work, their work ethic, they are who they are.
Yeah.
Right. So whether that be, high school, college, tactical, if you're a hard worker, you show up on time, you've been bred like that, you were raised like that with your family, that's probably much who you're going to be. So consistently across the board, I was raised to show up early, be on time, do my job, and do it to the best of my ability. So, that's been pretty consistent for the most part. From being a college player to college to now, I still love sports. Even though I'm not working with sports specifically, I still love it. I miss baseball. When baseball season rolls around, my wife's like, "Oh, here we go again," right?
Yeah.
But miss baseball. I'm an MLB subscription. I've subscribed to that. I love my Yankees, and
Let's go.
it's what I grew up playing. I played a lot of sports, but baseball was my love. Going to college there, but yeah, I mean, just like anybody else, man. Just moving around a lot. It got to me a little bit, from school to school, and have to move. And then once I had a kid and I matured as a coach and as a man, things changed a little bit. So that's where that decision made, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to make the jump. I didn't know what to expect. I'm glad I did. God bless us with the move. And it was probably one of the best decisions I made from a professional standpoint. Yeah.
So I'm actually, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but when you say I matured as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Was there one thing or two things that really kind of stuck out to you to be like, I'm maturing now, or like
Yeah.
I need to mature, right? I think that's a one too. Like we see a lot of young coaches, and myself included. Um, when you first become a coach, you want to be everybody's friend. You want the athletes to like you. You
Mhm.
want, hey, like I want to be the cool guy. I want, but I think, and to an extent, maybe you can speak on this. Like sometimes the maturity of that coach comes as in like, I don't care if my athletes necessarily quote unquote like me. We're gonna get results, right? What was it for you that kind of be stuck out to you to be like, okay, I need to mature, or I need to grow, or I need to kind of transition from the I want to be cool and liked aspect. Not that we still
Mhm.
can't be, but it's not like your number one thing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think, when I left Liberty and got this position, it really kind of opened up my eyes from looking from the outside in.
Mm,
So, I always like to be real on the podcast that I'm on. And,
mm-hmm,
and I'll be honest and upfront. I think a lot of coaches out there put their whole identity in being a strength and conditioning coach. And that's the problem. Um, it doesn't matter if you won a national championship or not. It doesn't make you the best coach. It don't make you the best person. It doesn't make you the best man or woman.
yeah,
It's all about who you are as a person. Do you love the athletes that you're coaching? Are you there for them outside? The weight room's the easy stuff. It's the other stuff that matters, right? Um, I used to be that coach that played all that trash rap music and all this stuff and loved the hype and all this fake energy, because it is fake energy that we see on social
mm,
media, on Twitter, because that
mm,
stuff does not last. You can be
yeah,
fired, you can move on, the athletes will forget about you, the coaches will forget about you, and you move on to the next setting, right? So what really has grounded me was being out of college strength and conditioning, and really your circle gets smaller as you grow older. So seeing
mm,
the circle get smaller is kind of what was a awakening for me, seeing who was there when I did move or the bad things happened at the job. And it was me, my family, and maybe one or two other people. Other than that, you kind of got to, you pretty much see the people in your life who really matters.
yeah,
So I started to really, really notice, okay, like mature, growing up as a coach, realizing what's important, um, and not kind of jumping to the grass is greener kind of job. That's the thing. That's the thing that I wanted to get away from. And I got out of that football scene, moving to
mm,
Liberty. But then
mm,
after Liberty, I was like, man, like even then I was still like checking football scoop and checking what jobs were open. I haven't checked that thing in like 3 or 4 years, man. It's been great. So I don't know. I don't care what's going on. If you have good connections and you are a good human and you are setting your morals and a good foundation, you're going to get a job. You'll stay connected with the right people, with the people that
yeah,
really matter. So
yeah. I think if you're listening and you are kind of in that world, you need to go back, rewind, listen to the last 2 minutes, and literally let that sink in, and take it personally in a good way, right?
yeah,
And so
absolutely.
understand and take responsibility for that, because the juice is great. The classic saying, if you're juiceless, you're useless, which I just
That's
I
that's
disagree.
bogus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I completely disagree. I think you can be really good at your job and not have to yell and scream and hype, and especially now you working with operators. I want to ask this question and then come back on something, but
Mhm.
especially you now working with operators, they see through that like the first 5 minutes they meet you, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're like, dude, knock it off. You're not. That's not how we operate here.
Hmm.
What has been the difference that you've seen, noticed, from working in the collegiate setting, football, to, working with, special operations and doing things of that nature? What have you really noticed or identified that's like, this is different, this is the same? What does that look like for you?
Um, so from being the same, you're going to have problems everywhere you go, no matter what. You'll face them, right?
Yeah.
Um, but you're exactly right. You're not like the rah rah stuff, blowing the whistle. That stuff really isn't going to fly with these guys. The average age for our building is around 33, 34 years old.
Okay.
So they're grown men. They have families. They've been through the rigors. I mean, they've been through the military for 15 plus years already.
Yep.
So, and then making it to the top of the top. I mean, these guys are already established. So all you have to do is pretty much stay consistent with who you are, and being able to relate to the guys is very important. So these guys, it's completely optional to them. They don't have to be on my programming.
Mm.
So these guys can, jump and program hop and do what they want. So marketing yourself is kind of important, but marketing yourself comes from you just being real, and just having that ability to relate and being involved with them, just going down to the team rooms, talking with them, inviting them over for dinner. That's the kind of the positive of the job that you can do with these guys. So you can just be a dude and enjoy, just bringing your families together, and just enjoying that time. That's pretty much 90% of it. It's just being a good guy and getting them buy in. But from the programming side, man, it's totally different. I have probably 60 to 70 guys that I'm programming for. Not one program's the same. So it's pretty much depends on what the guy likes, what he needs. Because again, you want them to stay on your programming.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, we're going to feed you a little bit. So we're going to give you a little bit of what you like and what you need. But I mean, I have everything from linear periodization, from conjugate to a little bit of metcon to conditioning only. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So being a chameleon and knowing how to program and different methods is very important. And that's probably one thing that's really I've grown to really enjoy, is more the conditioning side, like the energy system development, something that we don't learn a lot of through the college sector.
Yep.
It flipped going into the tactical side. I learned a ton, because these guys, they love to run, they love to condition, and learning more of that has been great, and it's really kind of helped me become a better coach.
Yeah. Well, and to that, the demand of their job requirements is much more energy system driven,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And, for those of you that have no idea what special operations is or anything from that standpoint, you can go and research it. But I was very fortunate. I've been able to work with them and guys from 75th and everything as well. And I've loved working with them, if I'm being honest with you. Like, if you try to be somebody that you're not, they smell it faster than you can change clothes. Like and they test you differently than what college athletes test you. College athletes will test you with how much do you bench, how much do you squat, that type of stuff. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, that's not how operators test you.
No, these guys are smart, and the most recent podcast, the most recent technology, they already know about, and they're asking you about it and seeing what we think about it. So they're already on top of the game, right? You can't really fool them too much,
Absolutely not.
because they're there for a reason. I mean, these dudes are really, really smart,
And they're
but
physical specimens too.
they're physical specimens. They're very, very smart, but they're still a zero training age, and nothing changes from that standpoint. The basics are the basics, and they'll benefit from just basic training, doing it right.
1,000%. And they are such a pleasure to work with because of their level of professionalism. The thing that I've really noticed with my small stint working with them is they care about what they do. Like, and here's why: because one of their friends' lives are in their hands, right? Like, legitimately, like, we're not just saying that, guys, to just say it. Like, we're being very honest when we say that. Comparative to the collegiate sector, not that the athletes don't care. So if you're listening, don't take this the wrong way. They don't care to the degree of the individuals that you're working with. They aren't the professionals to the degree of what the individuals you're working with. You said the average age is 33, 34.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody listening to this would agree that we all mature from 18, 19, 20, 21 to 32, 33, 34, and we care so much more of our profession, and we care about being a professional. And so that helps you because you can talk intricate details, and these guys are already super detail oriented, but you can talk intricate details and they will listen, understand, and apply. Whereas sometimes in the collegiate setting, you have to talk generalities just to get them to hopefully buy into what you're saying.
Yep. Absolutely.
You
100%.
know? So with your, I got to ask this question. Is there something that occurred that caused you to be as faithful as you are, or to build up your faith? Because you have a very strong faith. And with, from my experience, a lot of people that have very strong faith, there's something that occurred that they are now on, I don't want to say the straight and narrow, if you will, but they're like, I will never waver from this.
Yeah. So basically about 2 years ago, really, I haven't always been strong in my faith. I mean, I can admit that. I've always, I mean, I went to a Christian university, for my undergrad, but really didn't take advantage of it. And then when I was at Liberty, I've said it before, I didn't take advantage of what Liberty offered, and they do amazing things there,
Mm,
around great people. But at the same time, I was still stubborn, strength
mm,
coach who, you know, played the music I wasn't supposed to play, and all that, right? I look back at all that, didn't take advantage of the convocations that they have, which they bring in amazing speakers every week.
mm,
But about 2 years ago, I would say what really turned my life around was I ended up getting all kinds of things done. I ended up with a heart procedure and ended up with celiac disease, which was crushing because that took about 50 pounds off of me in like 3 or 4 months.
mm,
And there really hasn't been like, no doctor really has told me what has caused it. We have a lot of operators that's had the same issues. And I think it's not, I had the symptoms before the vaccine. So I think it was a COVID case that caused everything. It sparked everything that happened. So the celiac, the heart stuff, just, how there's tons of research out there already with what COVID has caused from the central nervous system. My nervous
mhm,
system is still messed up.
mm,
Um, but hopefully slowly with the gut healing and everything, it's going to calm back down. But I'm constantly, my sympathetic system's always turned on, and it's easily turned on.
easily, yeah.
But when I was in the heat of things, I mean, I was going through some crazy stuff, waking up every night with just shakes and sweats, and
Wow.
um, went to the ER a couple times because I didn't know if it was going to, I was having a heart attack, and there were several things going on. And plus with all the weight I was losing, we were getting pretty scared with everything. I didn't know what was going on. So, I was bedridden for a couple weeks.
Mm,
The command gave me 6 weeks. I was able to work from home, which was been a blessing. And then slowly started turning around. But it was then really, it was like, man, like, um, when everything was stripped from me, when you put all, like I said before, when you put your whole identity in strength conditioning and working out and all this stuff that we think is just so important, and all that's stripped away,
yeah.
then you start to realize, okay, like that's really not what's most important when it comes down to things. And then I was talking to an operator, um, during the heat of things, and he's like, man, he's like, at least you're vertical,
Mm,
and that hit me hard too. So, um, yeah, that's where I pretty much, there was two former baseball players of mine that baptized me, which meant a lot to me, from Liberty. And from then on, man, I mean, again, everybody sins and does things wrong, and we could all be better. But really, it made me realize the most important thing in life, and that's, your family, and your love for Christ. And at the end of the day, the way this world is, we need it now more than ever. So that's what's the most important thing to me. And I'm not afraid to talk about it anymore. I think more people need to be open about it,
mhm.
because really, I mean, everything's in the good book that's going on right now in the world, and all of our answers in there too. So it's meant a lot to me, and um, I can always turn to it and depend on it, and that's how, how I want to live my life. So it just really has changed me. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. I mean, it really knocked me for a loop. Knocked me on my back big time.
Mm.
So I was scared. Family was scared. My wife was scared, but she was strong. I mean, she took care of me. I mean, she was strong for me. But a couple months ago, she was like, well, I was freaking out. I didn't know what was going on. So, but yeah, the whole celiac thing is serious, man. Like, if people out there, and a lot of celiac individuals say, like, you really don't get the diagnosis for years until a doctor decides, oh, let's just test for it. Or let's just, the GI doctors don't test for those things. You have to ask for it. And that popped up. So if anybody's having some GI issues, some gut issues, get it tested. Just see if you have celiac disease, because a lot of people are getting it just because the processed food that we're eating nowadays, just the crap we're putting into our system, is causing all this stuff. And even COVID. I mean, we've got data now through our through dietitians, through the special ops community, is COVID cases that's causing autoimmune disorders all over the country. So it's crazy out there.
Well, man, I just want to, acknowledge you and everything that you've gone through, for that, because it's scary, right?
Yeah, it is.
If we take a step back and look at the last 3 years, and maybe even 4, if we want to go that far, but we start to connect the dots, if you will, on a multitude of things. And, all of a sudden people are having more cardiovascular issues. That, where did those come from?
Yep.
And everything from that standpoint, it's like, people don't even, they don't know. And,
No. A lot of people are afraid to talk about it, man. Like, it's even the operators, like, it's good that we have the circle that we have at work. I mean, because guys, we love talking about it with each other. It kind of helps to talk about it, especially for somebody that's been through the same stuff. But there's too many young men out there and women that that's gone through it and is having issues. They're not the same.
Right.
They can't run the same. They can't work out the same. Things have changed in their life. So it's definitely a thing out there. Everybody wants to blame the vaccine. And yes, there's research about the vaccine out there as well. But COVID has messed up, it can mess up people's nervous systems, and it's a terrible virus. And, it's just the way it is. Sometimes we're dealt a hand that we have no control over, and, we just pray about it, and hopefully that, we come out on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And, to that point though, is then like having a strong support system, kind of like you alluded to with, your wife, with work, being, allowing you to obviously work from home and taking care of you, or helping you take care of you. I think that's such a huge component of it as well. And to your point further, is like, we get so fixated on, I am the strength coach. I am a strength coach. Here's one I'm a Division I strength coach. Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you don't have a group of friends. You don't have, a close group of friends that you can trust. You aren't close to family, whether that's in distance or, emotionally or conversationally. And then you work 95 hours a week and you're running yourself through the ground, right? I mean, that's the true reality of it.
I mean, what the CSCCA was this week, right? The conference. So I'm looking at the videos on there, and not to bash any conference or anything that's going on, but I was a part of that stuff. And if you're out there and you're miserable from day to day, and you don't like standing around a Sorinex booth watching everybody squat and deadlift and all that, like, don't be fake, man. Be you. Like, be who you are, right? Like, I think there's so many people that wear this false cape out there as coaches, and they live this miserable life because they're not happy with their jobs. They show up every day and they're afraid to get out. Man, nowadays, look at all the entrepreneurs. We got athletes making millions of dollars off NLI deals. I mean, there is ways to make money. So if you have a passion for something, or if you're just miserable with your job, and especially if you have a family and it's taking you away from your family time, get out. Get away from it. Strength and conditioning is not that important. Trust me. Like, everybody will be okay if you leave. So,
and to that, what it reminds me of is, as former college athletes ourselves, when you stop being a college athlete, you kind of go through a identity crisis of who am I and what do I do now? And I feel like that's the same identity crisis that people go through when I'm no longer a Division I strength and conditioning coach, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look how many times we've trained athletes in college, and they leave college and they probably were overweight or trying to, get in shape their entire 4 years, and they leave, and you see them 2 years later and they look amazing.
Yep.
They find their identity, right? They intrinsically are motivated. They're like, okay, I need to do this on my own. I can't have, the head coach tell me what to do. I can't have the strength coach to tell me what I need to do day to day. I can't have a nutritionist shove down all this food down my throat. I need to do stuff on my own. So they grow up, I think college is great because they're offered all this stuff, but
Right.
when they leave, like you said, now what? Right.
Well, and to that point, I mean, for me personally, college strength and conditioning is cool. It's fun. It's amazing. But that's what's important. Is helping them not only for the 4 years of them being there, but for the 40 years of life afterwards.
Yep.
Because I'll say this, I've said this once, and I'll say it, I'll die on this hill, is the mark of a great coach is not the 4 years that they're yet there, it's the 40 years afterwards. Are you getting invited to their weddings? Are you still communicating with them? And what type of relationship did you build with them? Yes, we want results today and yesterday and tomorrow, but there's 40 years of life after or more after college strength and conditioning, college athletics. And I love it while I'm in it, don't get me wrong. However, there's a much larger, bigger picture for everybody to know and understand. And that's how I got into it, because my coach, who's my high school strength and conditioning coach, is like my second dad, and I can go to his house and spend the night whenever I want, and
Yep.
it's the relationship that I built with him, right?
Yep.
So transitioning to the entrepreneurial world, because you've obviously started your own business company. What does 13 bar represent, and then how and why did you start it?
So 13 bar, a lot of people ask this question. So 13 bar means 13 bars on the flag. My wife came up with the name. So once she said it, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's perfect. Like
Yeah.
we'll use that.
Yeah.
The reason why I started it was when I got into the tactical space. Every morning I would drive in and just see, these young, just big Army men and women out there just training and just doing brutal exercises that they're just getting tired to get tired, right? You know better than anybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what, man, like I'm gonna try to do my part from afar, and just start this remote training business and just offer some decent programs for people to follow if they want to train up for something, or they
Mhm.
just, want a good program to follow. Um, and then it's just kind of grew from there. I mean, it's great. We've reached over 70 some countries, and
Wow.
it's been awesome. So I think there was a definite need for it. I mean, there's other places, Soft Fleet's big. There's other apps out there. Mountain Tough Fitness is another one that's growing, and they do great. But specializing in the tactical space, it's just awesome to talk and just help just people all over the world, because they're trying to fight for their country, just to give them some smart training to follow. And hopefully down the road, it pays off. And, we keep a lot of people around, and it's great to see. And we don't know what's going to happen down the road, right? We don't
Yeah.
know if we're going to open up a facility. We don't know where it's going to take us. It's been great. It's a great side income for us as a family. We take pride in it. We try not to let it stress us out too much because it's just us. So like
Yeah.
trying to post every
Yeah.
day and everything, that stuff's tough, man.
Yeah.
So but we take pride in the, answering, all of our messages and everything from a day-to-day basis, or we try to. We like the connection piece. We think connection is very important. So,
Hmm.
but we love it. We love it, and we're going to just continue to do it, and we'll see where it goes.
Uh, I'll tell you that I think that's I really do think that's fantastic. And
Fun fact, though. Fun fact. Let me say, with this business, for all the young strength coaches out there, I made more off my first year with that business than any other job other than this one as a strength coach. So just letting you know, for an online business. So there's opportunity out there.
well, and people want it and they need it,
Yeah.
right? And you've validated them. I'm a huge proponent of strength coaches. Gosh, I'm gonna go on, but I'm a huge proponent of strength coaches putting themselves online, starting their own businesses, doing things online, because I believe whether you're a college strength coach or not, if you're a strength and conditioning coach, you have a master's degree, whatever, you have a skill set that far exceeds the majority of personal trainers out there. You understand the
Mm-hmm.
human body at a much, much, much deeper level. And you should not be afraid to market yourself, sell your services at a premium price because you deserve that. And
Exactly.
you should not be ashamed of that. And you should not feel bad for that. But what it also does, like you just alluded to, is it provides you with additional income.
Yep.
And we all know the business of strength and conditioning. Not that many of us make a lot of money. There's a lot of us that make very little money, to say the least. So barely getting by, barely paying bills, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of them, Shelton, I'll be honest, they just go, I don't even know where to start. Like that
Mm.
is they're like, I don't even know where to start. And they're like, is $50 a month appropriate? And I'm like, increase that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're worth more. Like you tell me it's $50 a month. Like you're worth more than that. So do you have any advice, things that you guys have obviously gone through to say, here's what we've done to create a successful remote business? What does that look like for you guys?
So basically, we were lucky enough to have a former athlete design our logo and do all that stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we built it up on social media. We kind of had like a drop date
Sure.
and all that, right? And then from there, we use Squarespace
Yep.
for our website, and that makes it easy. They use Stripe, and the money just kind of gets deposited in the bank for people that buy programs. But our main marketing tool is social media.
Mm,
I like, and here's the thing too. We got to remember, I have a job where I can't get on the phone for about 8 to 10 hours a day,
mm-hmm.
so that makes it even harder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with the scheduling of posts, you can schedule posts right on
Yep.
Instagram now and everything. So that helps to kind of use the weekend or maybe a Sunday to be like, all right, I'm gonna bust out 5 posts and schedule these for the rest of the week.
Yep.
But as time went on, we started kind of using Canva
Mm-hmm.
as our main kind of design platform. And lucky and Macy's like, you're the creative one when it comes to the posts. So I handle all the posts and everything and the font and all that stuff and the way they
Sure.
look. And I've reached out to a couple people in the military to see if I can use some of their photography. So always get approval, always use references because there's trolls out there and stuff. Like, don't just always do that. Cause I've made mistakes too. Like sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I should have referenced this person or I should have, I've made those mistakes. Everybody's there's nothing new out there, but
Yep.
just to cover your butt.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's
Mm-hmm.
other great people out there that's doing great stuff. And so you always want to cover your butt with that. But from there, it's just, I mean, with us, we're just keeping it simple and keeping it basic and not getting out of ourselves. Like, we see a bunch of stuff on social media and just stuff that people just want to post and just try to get likes and everything. For us, that's really not what it's about. I think I want to take pride in keeping the basics and
Mm-hmm.
being upfront and honest, because I still don't see good coaching out there. I don't see it. I don't see it. I might see like a handful every now and then, but
Yeah.
like I'm talking about tip to toe, perfect technique, done right, movement efficiency, the basics. I'll be honest. I think 90% of college athletes don't need to be doing any kind of Olympic weightlifting because I've made the mistake and I think that it looks like trash.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's other ways to do it. Most people are doing it just because the coach enjoys it, or you like it yourself, or you do it in your own programming.
Yep. Or the way
Um,
that's we've always done it.
or the way it's always, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right. So,
Yeah.
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 So basically, just keeping things very basic and putting good stuff out there when it comes, because a lot of people that are in the general pop, especially the tactical world, they don't know anything about programming. They definitely don't know anything about energy system development. So breaking
There's
that
a lot
stuff
of
down
strength
is
coach.
important.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of strength coaches that don't know anything about strength
That's
about energy
They
system
don't.
development.
They
Like,
don't. And I've made the mistake myself. Like I used to bury my athletes and have no, like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're just going to go lift now. It's just like, I just ruined the lift. I look back at it. I'm like, half of my lifts, they were just dog tired because I didn't even think
yeah,
about the extra stress that they were doing. And then I really don't think about how, you've heard it before. Stress is stress,
yep,
right? And then the sleep, the stress with, girls and boys and relationships and teachers and other sports. And now it's NLI. Now it's like, oh my gosh, now we really should be considering really backing off of programming. So it's like little things like that to post about that people really don't think about, and diving deep as a professional for them to read. I think that's awesome to have like good quality content out there instead of just posting some random crazy mobility exercise that nobody could get in the position anyway. Sorry, I'm getting heated up here.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. No, I really do, because it's things that people see but nobody wants to say. And
Yeah.
I'm here and saying I agree with you, right? And I want to break the mold, as I think, as much as everybody does, right?
Yeah.
But first of all, I want to say that your content that you put out is really good, right? You can, like, when I look at it, you can tell that there's deliberate time put into it,
Mhm.
deliberate thought process to put into it. The second thing that I really like about it is it's actionable, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so when I see stuff and they're like, "Oh, we're so great, we're so strong," cool, but what do I do with that,
Yep.
right? And what's great about what you guys continually put out is it's actionable. It's why is this is important? What you can do. If not, go see my website, right? Like, obviously, like, here's your call to action, but
Mhm.
it's actionable. And the more I continue to learn about energy system development and capacity, the more I'm like, this should be the number one thing that we're doing. Olympic lifting, I don't do with my teams. A lot of my
Yeah.
athletes ask, "Hey, coach, when are we going to do it?" I'm like, if our numbers in other areas are going up without it, like, do we need to do it? Like, could we? We could. Can I teach
Yeah.
it? Absolutely. For anybody that's like, you don't do it because you can't teach it. Like, no, I can teach it. I can teach it very well, actually. But if we don't need to, right, then we don't have to. Like, don't be married to something. And so I just wanted to, say that you guys do put out really good stuff. And for anybody that's listening, you don't follow them, go follow them, engage with them, because it's stuff that you're like, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I should do more of this. Oh, yep, absolutely. And to me, it's great information, content, and actionable stuff. And
Yeah.
that's the really
Yeah.
important part.
That's exactly right. And we definitely want it to be actionable. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're exact. I mean, yes, we could do Olympic lift. I mean, I come from an Olympic lifting background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worked under Coach Moffitt and those guys down there, and that's all we done. It's all I knew at the time. So that's
Mm,
when it comes to the growth factor, like just kind of learning other methods. I
yeah.
think a lot of coaches just follow what their mentor showed them, or what they've learned, and eventually they'll grow and come within themselves and find their own method that works great.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the kids, probably 99% of them, after they graduate, won't be doing Olympic lifting. That's just the way it is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they'll do it if you do it with them for 4 years, that's great. But the even professionals, man, like majority of them's not doing that stuff. So, yeah, it's just kind of like you're wasting time trying to teach that. You could be doing other things.
It was actually funny when I was in the private sector prior to going to graduate school. I was active duty for the military, and then I was working at a private facility. And I was very fortunate because there were several individuals that were professional athletes that were there, both football, baseball, and then Division I athletes as well. And I remember very distinctly. There's this young gentleman. He was going to be a rookie, so got drafted, but getting ready to go to, like, rookie camp and all that stuff. And they had Olympic lifts programmed, and I was, super young and green, and I was just coaching it. I didn't write the program or anything, but I remember he was saying, like, "Oh, it hurts my wrist," right? And I went over to the guy that owned the facility and I said, "Hey, just as a heads up, like this, he says it hurts his wrist, blah, blah, whatever." And he's like, "Cool, don't do it anymore." And at first I was like, "What?" Like, it's written on the board. This is what we're doing today.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, "Nope." He's like, "Don't do it." And I remember he, like, pulled me aside. He's like, "That's a $5 million man." He goes, "You're going to do a clean that might hurt him. He's a $5 million man." And I was like, got it.
Yep.
Completely understood. Like, and
Well,
he was just like, "I don't care what they do. don't do anything that hurts them. And I was like,
We've all been there. I mean,
yeah,
coach, my wrist hurts. I don't care. You know, toughen up. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like, come
yeah,
on, man. Like I look back at that, and that sounds just that's a clown. That's just. I mean, that's where a lot of the coaches out there. I mean, we've all been through it, and sometimes that we got to go through that stuff. But yeah, I mean, the things that I've looked back and that I've made athletes do just from punishment or something goofy like that for being late. It's just like,
yeah.
my goodness, man. Like it's just unbelievable. Like that kind of stuff is just bogus nowadays when I look from the outside in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was my first kind of eye-opening experience, working with, I'm going to say, high caliber professional level athletes. And when you say like they don't do that, and I was like, what do you mean he's not doing that? Like that's on the board, right?
Yep.
And then he's like, yeah, he's worth a lot. And I was like, got it. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
Okay, so from a psychological standpoint, okay, working with collegiate athletes, awesome. Working with operators, completely different.
Hmm.
From a pure psychological standpoint, what are you seeing, have noticed that well, first of all, how much does the psychological component play a role? And then what have you noticed differently from the difference of college and tactical?
Yeah. So obviously with where we're at, the cognitive piece is huge. So we have cognitive specialists on the staff, and we have neurologists, and we have behavioral health,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
as well. So um, it's big with us because one, what these guys see overseas, what they deal with, and obviously the job, right? The
Mm-hmm.
TBIs, the blast injuries, the concussions,
Yep.
huge. Um, so we try to stay on top of that. We try to find different methods of how to get ahead of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we test that multiple times a year, just to see kind of where they're at,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be eye tracking,
Mm-hmm.
questionnaires, processing speed, those sort of things.
Okay.
There's different methods that we use. And then, if they need help or we see something, we'll obviously attack it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll work with them. We'll adjust things. We'll send them over to behavioral health or any kind of the medical side that they need help with. But you know better than I do. A lot of guys don't like to admit it,
Yeah.
right? They want to hide that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they can't hide it. When they try to they just can't. They can't operate.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Um, from when you look at the big picture, though, the brain is everything. So even from our college athletes, like I think we need to be paying tons more attention to it when it comes to brain health, because that's where
Mm-hmm.
everything's derived from.
Of
Everybody
course.
talks about everything talks about mental toughness. Mental toughness is a fallacy, man. It
Yeah.
is a fallacy. It's proven that it is. The research has proven it has nothing to do with performance, but the brain obviously does. So when
Yep.
you talk about brain health, and then when you talk about genetics, and you talk about consistency and habits when it comes to recovery, sleep, all that stuff, that's what develops your toughness, right? Like, being able to handle situations because of the way you prepared.
Right.
But yeah, I just think that side of things is we need to look more into. But I just think having the right people in the college sector to be able to pitch that to administration and everything, I think that's crucial. We can't just stay in our bubble in the weight room and expect to
Mm-hmm.
grow, because that's not it. If you want to be a performance director, which is kind of what they call all these different titles,
Yeah.
then you got to start thinking outside the bubble a little bit, because that's what the administration loves to hear. You
Right.
know, that's the kind of stuff they like to hear.
So, I mean, 100%. I've been doing some research on and listening to from a podcast standpoint on the eye tracking
Hmm.
and the threats of it on the nervous system in itself. Can you kind of take a little deeper dive on what that looks like for you guys, and
Yeah.
if we can, or how can we implement that in our collegiate sector? What are things to look for? Because it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Square One system or not. I don't know that much about them. I'm very interested in what they're doing, but how they talk about the brain perceiving threats, the eyes perceiving threats to the system, It's so unique to me. I don't know that much about it, so that's why I'm super interested in from that standpoint.
Yeah, no, the system that we've been using for a while is called Right Eye.
Okay.
Um, so basically, what this is, it's basically we'll track left to right.
Mm-hmm.
So we see if the eyes are off, we'll check up and down, and we'll check like circular motions. And it's amazing to see. Like some guys are super, locked in on that circle, and there's barely any distortion, and some are all over the place. Some with their
Wow.
left eye only, some with their right eye only. A lot of the data that's used to prepare is basically it uses MLB baseball players for a
Mm-hmm.
comparison
Okay.
because they
Makes
got some
sense.
of the best, hand-eye coordination, whatever.
Yeah.
So they have data on that. But it's amazing to see. So we just want to make sure that their tracking is right on line with where we want it to be. Just if it's a little off, that's okay. But if we're seeing consistency, just distortion all over the place, obviously that's a red flag. So we'll do the right eye tracking.
And that's like a system that
hmm
they okay.
It's a computer-based system, and all
Mm-hmm.
all you need to do is set up the software on the computer, and what they do is they'll just use the keyboard. There's like one or two keys that they'll have to press while they're looking.
Sure.
So we use that, and then there's a system I can't remember the name of it. Our cognitive specialist left a couple months ago. He was using some sort of um, neuro electrodes on the head, and it was doing processing speed. And there's like 7 different games and levels that they were using.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried it, and man, like that stuff was tough. That stuff was tough. But basically, it's
Yeah.
just monitoring how your brain's firing from different parts of the brain.
Wow.
Some things you may be good at, some things not. Right? It just kind of puts a little bit more information into like what we're seeing with the individual when it comes to that, because processing speed is huge where we're at, because a lot of guys think fitness is going to make or break them, but once they're in the course, if you can't process CQB, if you're in the shoot house and you shoot
Correct.
somebody and you can't process what's going on, you're out, because the
Correct.
job's way more important than, you can't be killing a hostage in practice, man, because you're done.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we're, from you guys, we are unwilling to have you make a mistake like that because of your processing speed or lack
hmm
thereof. And once you've demonstrated that once, twice, like you're gone. That's it. That's a wrap,
hmm
And
Yep.
so but sports is the same way. And what I mean by that is like one thing that I don't think we focus enough on is what you just said, the time element. And I'm going to touch on this and come back to what you just said, but the time element, because sports are played, as we know, in like 250 milliseconds or less, right? So the processing speed or the brain's ability to make decisions faster, the OODA loop, if you will,
Yep.
to make a decision and then do, an action, is the big deal, right? If we can speed up that OODA loop process because we've identified things faster, we have a higher probability of making the right decision, therefore potentially being more successful. So that's collegiate, same thing in where you guys are at, but we're dealing with live bullets, right? And people that
Yeah.
we truly care about. So let's say they use that right eye processor or system, excuse me, and let's say they're completely off of baseline or
hmm
just we're notice things that we're like, we need to fix this and correct this. How do you guys kind of go about that? What is that process then? Is that like rewire? I mean, I don't want to say rewiring the central nervous system, but like, how do you then say this was your baseline? You're now off. Like, how do we get you back on track?
Yeah. So if we find a lot of different red flags going on with the guy, we do a lot of different things. Obviously we have tech that we use. I mean, we make sure that we're monitoring everything when it comes to HRV and sleep. So we
Okay.
give them, right now we're using Aura Ring.
Mm-hmm.
So we use that. The guys get that. And then also we have float tanks.
Mm.
So we'll use the deprivation tanks as well.
Yep.
We also have dry floats, which doesn't use water, so it's like a water bed, but almost like
Okay.
you're still floating, but it's almost like it's like a water bed. The bottom drops out, and then it just kind of smothers you. You're almost in like, you ever seen like one of those like the Avatar movie where they're sleeping in that big leaf,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wraps around them. It's almost like that, right? It just takes
Okay.
the bottom out. You're floating there. You're getting the relaxed state.
Sure.
Um, that's straight from the performance side how we handle that stuff. So we use
Mm.
that. Um, and then obviously, if they have a TBR concussion, they return the protocol. we'll
Right.
follow that, right? So we got to adjust our training program. And then, bigger issues, they'll move on to behavioral health and medical. And, if it's a bigger issue, we'll have to dive deeper into that. So
Of course.
if we got to shut them down from operation, we do. And sometimes that happens because they go on these even training trips and missions. They take blast after blast after blast. And
Yes.
they're like
Yes.
wondering, like their ears are ringing. They're dizzy all the time. It's just like, okay, well, why are you still going out running in the heat for 4 miles? Like, we got to dial this stuff back, and then
Yeah.
we just kind of monitor them along the way. So,
Yeah.
but we have several things. I mean, obviously, we have the photobiomodulation, the red light beds, the Nova Thors.
Okay.
So basically,
I'm not
so
familiar with those at all.
it's red light therapy. So basically, it enters at the cellular level.
Okay.
It's great for recovery. They say it's great for your eyes. I close my eyes because it's so bright and red, but they say you need to open them because it's great for your eyesight.
Mm,
Um,
interesting.
they're super expensive, man. But they said Tom Cruise has 2 of them in his house, so obviously he's doing something right because he hasn't aged one bit.
He looks so good, doesn't he?
I'm telling you, man. I
He
was like, well,
looks
give me.
good.
Yeah, I'll be using that every day if I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have that. We have obviously the plunge. We have 2
Sure.
plunges in there. The guys love the hot and cold contrast and the cold plunges and
Love
everything.
it.
Sauna.
Yeah.
We have all of that stuff. So every kind of recovery tool we have for the guys to use. And then of course we have the whole staff and the medical side. We have all the people surrounding, as a team to help them along the way when
Mhm.
it comes to support and adjusting things that we need to adjust.
So, you know, for the you guys are clearly operating at a very high level, a high performance model, if you will, but you're
Hmm.
operating, you have a lot of tools at your disposal to help recover, perform, and get these guys to do their job at a very high level. And with that, obviously, there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar. How do you guys work with, mesh with, communicate with? Because you can see this at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
Everybody, next thing you know, it was from 2 coaches and now there's 25 coaches, and everybody wants their piece to be spoken. How do you guys kind of work together to say, we have the cognitive performance specialist, we have obviously yourself and your guys' staff and not behavioral health? How do we make sure everybody's on the same page with that individual or individuals?
Yeah. So when something big happens like that, it's just say somebody has a blast injury or I've worked with several guys that's gotten blown up before, their legs, gotten blown
Yeah.
up or things like that. So we come together as a team and have an initial meeting to show that we are here for them. Right. So
Mm.
it's myself, every group of guys has a assigned strength coach and an assigned physical therapist. So I work with a direct physical therapist. So it would be me, physical therapist, the dietitian, the cognitive performance specialist, their sergeant major, ops,
Mhm.
medical side. We would all be in the room. We would all be on the same page. We already have the data of what's going on with them, and then we would start a path forward, working together. So it's I mean, it's just getting in the same room communicating, man. I mean, how
Yes.
hard is that? It's just
Yes.
so hard for people to wrap their head around. Like that's all it's needed to do, and all the information is shared on a
Yes.
drive on the computer. So it's like I'm not trying to secretly hide my program from anybody. Like I don't care. Like everybody needs to know what he's doing, right?
Right, because 100% though, right? Like such an easy concept, But
Yeah.
to your point, it's right though, because all that stress. First of all, there's a stress from the injury, okay, and especially if it's a TBI, like that's the stress to the brain. That's a
Hmm.
big deal,
Yep.
and then all the other stress, if it's, oh, I spoke to the dietitian and he or she said this, and then it's like, no, let's all be together. Let's all sit. Let's all talk. Let's all talk our piece and be on the same page. Get a plan moving forward. When things adjust, we'll communicate clearly. But this is it's amazing. It's like, hey, let's sit down as a staff and all talk and communicate and have, the AT speak their piece, the sports psychologist speak, their piece, and
Yep.
it's amazing how many times that just does not flat out happen,
No,
and it's sad.
it is sad. It's we don't have offices. We have an open space
Mm,
where I could yell across the room to our chiropractor, or so we have a massive space that's wide open, which makes it a lot easier too. Sometimes it gets a little tough when people are talking and you gotta put your headphones in and work, but
Of
I
course.
found it to be very helpful. I think the biggest thing is that we have shared drives where they can see our work or whatnot. I think everybody that's huge.
Yeah.
um and even obviously with HIPAA and all that, with the dietitians, got to hide some things, but she's open about it too. I mean, she'll share numbers and everything if we want to know where they're at. But we kind of overhear some things. I mean, those guys get blood work done all the time,
Mm,
right? That's another big one. They're big on the
mm,
blood markers, right? Their DEXA scans and their blood are big things for them, and obviously they'll get that a couple times a year. um, and that alone shows us, okay, like they might need a little bit of vitamin more, like vitamin D, which majority of people need anyway, or
yeah.
you know maybe their testosterone's low, really low, where they need to supplement that, or like there's many things that helps us see a bigger picture.
I was having a conversation with a gentleman, and we talked specifically about this. He worked in the NFL. He's a fantastic dude, extremely intelligent, and he talked about how they utilize the blood work in the NFL to
Hmm.
help their athletes get the things that they need. Vitamins, minerals. Obviously, like not they didn't talk testosterone or anything from that standpoint, but like
Yeah.
how important, how imperative do you think that is? And then do you think that should operate at a collegiate level? Because I was like, yeah, dude, if we do the blood look at least twice, like we could get so much more individualized or data or information to be like, let's help quote unquote optimize this individual or get them to these healthy ranges. But then he also brought up a point which I thought was very interesting. He goes, okay, blood work is based upon the average of healthy individuals in the United States. He goes, however, the average individual in the United States is obese. So
Yeah.
should we even be using the averages, or should we always be trying to be on that upper range? And his argument, which I agree with, was that we should try and be on that upper range of it because the average individual in the United States and really across the world right now is pretty obese. And so he's like, no, we need them above average, not average, because average means we're like obese. And I was like, that's a great point.
That's right. No, it's all those numbers are crazy. I mean, if you look at the testosterone levels that they say that we should be in, it's like 300 to 1500. It's like,
It's a
well,
wide
that
range.
doesn't help, like,
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
Mm,
no, all those are based off general pop numbers. Um, so we gather enough data over time where we know what, the guys in the building,
mm-hmm.
where they need to be from a baseline standpoint and everything like that. Um, but from a college standpoint, I think blood work's crucial. I think the more specific you can get, the better, right? How do we know? For instance, it would be interesting to see what lack of sleep is doing to our college athletes from a blood
Mm,
blood work standpoint, right?
mm,
Just from that, just
yeah.
that alone can do. Because I mean, I know what it does to strength coaches. I mean, it causes us to be a lot of us overweight and we lose our hair. I mean, like people say strength coaches, yeah, we might look the part, but I guarantee if you look inside of us, it's crap, right?
Yeah, truly. What's our HRV? How many
Exactly.
energies do we have to sustain? Like that's a
Yep.
big one too. Like the C stands for conditioning, not cholesterol, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Absolutely. That's another thing. That's why conditioning was never a thing. Like I didn't even think about it. So it's just but yeah, blood work's huge, man. I mean, I think that's a big thing. I mean, personally, even for me, I try to get it at least 2 to 3 times a year.
mm,
Just kind of see where my levels are at and adjust what I need to adjust. But the
yeah,
main things what we've seen is like everybody pretty much has a low vitamin D. Everybody needs to supplement it. Everybody thinks that they can go walk out in the sun and get vitamin D. That's not how it works. Certain times a year, where's the sun hitting you? Those sort of things
mm,
matters. I mean, unless you're close to the equator, you're probably not getting the adequate amount of sun anyway to walk out there when it comes to vitamin D. So,
yeah,
um, and creatine's another one, right? Like that's a big supplement that's still kind of, for some reason, people just bash it, and there's tons of research out on there on it, but it's huge when it comes to the concussion side and the brain health.
yeah.
And I don't know, are you even allowed to give creatine to college athletes now or no?
I no, nope.
It blows my mind. Like that should be immediate change when it comes to that. We should be able to give creatine to athletes, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's I mean, this, and I know this as current college strength conditioning coaches. Obviously, the supplementation world is um, off limits, right? To have a
Mm-hmm.
strength coach give to college athletes, that's off limits, right?
Yep.
Because of the opportunity to them to obviously fail a drug test or things of that nature. I think if you go through the dietitians, and if anybody's listening, please don't quote me on this. I think if you go through the dietitians, they can do that. But strength coaches, nope. And so
Yeah.
we, still, kind of far away from that, even though I would say the majority of us are rather educated in supplements and things of that nature, but we can't directly give
Yep.
to student athletes.
And
Correct.
on the dietitian side of things, I mean, I talk to our dietitian daily, and um, another thing that we talk about is like we have to understand that we can't pitch to these kids about eat more vegetables or make sure you get plenty of, you're getting your creatine from meat. Like you're not getting it from meat, first of all.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to eat vegetables. Their plates are going to be bad. So any kind of advantage that we can give these athletes through supplements needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Supplements is always like, well, food first. Well, yeah, that's true, but they want it just like these guys here. Everybody wants the advantage when it comes to the job or their sport. So,
Yeah.
like, if we can give that to them through creatine, or let's give them some vitamin D because their vitamin D is low, which can help
Mhm.
with testosterone levels. Like, there's little things
Mhm.
like that where we need to be doing that. If
Yeah.
that's important to performance, which everybody cares about, like, we need to be
Mhm.
doing it.
And fish oil and like the
Fish
essential
oil. Yep.
fatty acids that, let's be honest, the average individual, not college athlete, or also the college athlete, gen pop, whatever, just isn't getting enough. They're getting enough fat, I promise you that much, but it's
Yeah,
not
they're
the
getting
right.
enough fat. They're getting
Yeah.
enough fat, but then we still have like Gatorade and Muscle Milk sponsoring shakes, which are crap. Um, it's just because of money and the sponsorships and the school sponsored by them, and that's what we give them. But it's just full of sugar and everything else. Or if it's not full of sugar, it's full of fake sugar.
Hmm.
So like there's better things out there that I think there's nothing wrong with trying to push that to administration and just be like, hey, like, can we do better with
Yeah.
this? This is what, put together a plan, put it in front of the board, put it in front of the administrators, and just see what they say
Right.
when it comes to that, because you don't know. I mean, heck, the administrators could jump on board and they could get blood work done and seeing that their cholesterol is high. They need to, any way you can help them, you
Well,
know,
I was just gonna say that, like, hey, if you are unwilling to have our athletes do it, can we just do it as a admin and see where we're all at?
there you go. Yeah, that's
Um,
probably more important.
Start there, right?
Yep.
And so anything I think to get people invested more so, I think is really important. And speaking of supplements, the shirt that you're wearing, the supplement brand there,
Yep.
Thorn, is has a fantastic reputation, is doing great things, specifically also in the athletic space, in the performance space, and they are a very reputable company to you know utilize and use their supplements, right? They're really good. They're really
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. They are.
So
They do some good stuff, man. I mean, the testing that their supplements go through, and obviously we pitch NSF to everybody, third party tested, but
yep.
they go through 4 phases of testing, which I don't think any other company does, which is impressive. So they got a lot of good stuff. We use them a lot for the majority of things,
You do. Yeah.
with our guys. We get a pretty good discount for our guys through a bunch of different companies and everything. So it really helps.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um and then, with all that, and this is kind of my last point, because I think we covered a wide range of topics, but with everything that we're talking, the one area as well is the gut, and how all of this interacts with the gut, and with the valgus nerve, and how all of that interacts with the nervous system, and if we're taking care of the brain, right, which is huge, agreed, and then we're also taking care of the gut, which is huge, we will start to see really, really good results.
Yes.
However, if we neglect both the brain and the gut, we're going to be spinning our tires in some mud for a little bit, right? Sometimes we'll get some traction, sometimes maybe not, but I don't think we discuss the gut enough and the interactions with it, maybe because it's so complex, but in the interactions with it based off the food we consume and how that interacts with higher levels of the central nervous system, the brain,
Mhm.
and the peripheral nervous system and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, with my diagnosis and everything that's happened over the years with celiac disease and everything, I really have gotten pretty keen in like when it comes to gut microbiome, and
Mm.
I had specific dietitians work with me with that, and you don't realize how much you're missing. Like your GI doctors, if you get tested like a stool sample or whatnot, like they test for a couple things. They're not testing for good bacteria, bad bacteria, parasites. Like you don't know what's going on in your gut until you get like a full like exam of your gut.
Mm. Mm.
And that was huge for me. So the gut microbiome is very complex. Even like dietitians, our registered dietitians out there, they even say it's too complex for them unless they're starting to specialize in it. So
Gotcha.
that alone is another topic that we've been discussing of like, is that something down the road that we even need to look at, is bringing in a gut specialist, because we have brain
Mm.
specialists, but what about gut specialists? Because again, like they go hand in hand. They really do. Like this, it's
Yeah.
the second brain, right?
It is. Yeah.
So it's very interesting. But specifically for me, obviously I can't have gluten, and then I'm trying to figure out if like, do I stay on a low FODMAP or high FODMAP diet, because not every vegetable or fruit's the same
Yep.
when it comes to messing with your gut. So I think finding those things out as an individual is very important, because if you're feeling sluggish or tired or noticing things that's a little bit different about you, it might be your gut. Right. So that stuff's very important to start finding out, because you don't know what you're allergic to. Do you have a food allergy that you don't know about and you've just been dealing with your entire life? Again, like I've seen people with eczema and all kinds of different skin issues and everything, and they find out it has everything to do with their gut, and it
Mhm.
instantly fixes the problem. So there's many things going on down there that you have no idea about. And I think, finding a special test or a specialist that could dive a little bit deeper, that's just another thing that was going to help you. So why not?
Absolutely. And the thing that I think about the most, like with all the stuff that's occurring, is you can't fix something that you are unaware of.
Hmm.
And so I'm really taking this from the book Atomic Habits. If nobody's read that, go read the book. Fantastic. But in order for something to become unconscious, right, you now have to make it conscious and you have to become aware of it. And so, if we're talking about the interaction of the gut, what we're consuming and how it now has an effect, a second, third, fourth order effect, we have to draw awareness to it in order to start to make a change or be conscious of making that change. Just like if I'm, making money, but now I don't have any money, I have to bring awareness to my spending habits in order to fix it. Same
Hmm.
thing with the brain, same thing with, and we're bringing awareness to a lot of other things, which I think is great. Obviously, conditioning being one of them, mobility, and you can argue mobility all day, but like, we're seeing other areas be brought to light. And, there's these two other areas that, we've kind of discussed here today, of the brain, taking a deeper diver look into that, the eyes, taking a deeper diver look into that, and the gut, and understanding what those really entail and how we can show people how to fix it,
Yep.
or things of that nature, to bring awareness to it, to start to change those habits, because I can't change something that I don't know about.
That's right. And that's the thing. And even as strength coaches, like, yeah, we talk about the basics are the basics, and those will always work and everything. But at the same time, we have to understand the times have changed. People are eating more processed food, a bunch of crap. They're stressed out their minds. They're in front of the phones all the time. These kids are just locked into their phones, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, stress from NLI stuff. All that stuff's going on, and all that stuff is affecting their brain. It's
Mhm.
affecting their gut, all that stuff. So, like, I think we have to start diving deeper and looking more specific to those issues that's going on, right? The weight room is always going to be the weight room, but are we doing them a disservice of, training the crap out of them, but not looking at these things that's really causing an issue? I think we're going to do more harm than good if we start ignoring these things and just
Mhm.
staying like status quo, like it's always been. So bringing that to life, I think that's going to be very, very important. And hopefully things change, um, from 20 years down the road at the college scene where we are looking at these things. Just hope that it moves just as fast as this money and social media is, because that stuff's getting crazy.
Man, I tell you what, it's getting crazy. I just had a conversation today with an athlete. We're talking about NIL stuff, and I was like, it's amazing that you're getting them, you're looking at getting NIL deals, but I provided him with a bit of caution to say, don't just take any and every just to get the short dollar today, because there's three,
Yep.
4, 5 years down the road where your audience that you're promoting to is going to start to ask questions of like, who are you and what do you stand for? So like
Hmm.
get your money. I don't disagree with that, but also like be cognizant of who you're doing it with and what brands and everything from that standpoint, and actually be a customer first.
Yep.
Like be a customer before, and talking to them about that, and it was a great conversation, but a lot of them like, we've never heard that before, and I'm like, yep, like be a customer first. I promise it will help you so much more down the long road than it will short today, make your 10,000, 20,000,
Hmm.
50,000, whatever, but that's only going to go so far.
I think we have to understand, of what AI is doing on purpose to our society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we can really dive deep into that, because
Yep.
that to me, that's a major issue. Probably one of the biggest, probably the top three issues I see in the next 5 to 10 years. It's really going to affect everything, in this country. But from what we are seeing, it's not really us; it's these other countries that's using AI to manipulate us, to hate each other,
Yep.
and to
Yep.
do these crazy things. And um, we need to understand that's what's happening to our kids, because they don't know any better. They don't know what's going on, and that's how it's affecting them. So we have to, as adults and coaches and people that they see every day, we have to try to like turn them away from that. Not really necessarily turn them away, but get them to understand what's going on and
Yeah.
be a good mentor, and not going back, to the religious side, but like teaching them good habits, like daily, like how to live and how to love, and all of
Yeah.
those things, like to get them away from that technology stuff and get them to understand what the purpose of that stuff is. And it's not all good. I would say 75 to 80% of it is bad, you know?
Yep. Yep. And I was just having this conversation yesterday. I'm serious. I had a guy in my office, great guy, great guy. He was the IT guy, actually. Great, great conversation. We sat there for 3+ hours and had a conversation. Like I'm dead serious, and it was amazing. I'm serious. It was so great because we were like, people aren't doing what we're doing right now, which is having that face to face. People
Yep.
aren't doing, and I'm in 3 hours. I'm serious. Neither one of us picked up our phone,
Yeah.
not a single time, right? And it was such a fantastic conversation. We talked about so much, but it was such a fantastic conversation to be able. And he's in his mid 30s, and just to sit there and converse, sit there and joke with each other, laugh, obviously, make fun, but neither one of us picked up our phone in 3 hours, which is amazing, amazing. And so it was so great. But to that point, it's just like, what was 10, 15, 20 years ago,
Hmm.
how you were raised, I was raised, is not what it is today. And that's a struggle. We need more men, because you talk about, coming back and living to the word of being a man, right?
Hmm.
And this is obviously particularly for men, but like being a man, and what does that mean? And staying true to your word and showing up on time, being early, doing the job the way it's supposed to be done, and having pride in that. And I think that's so critically important. If your name is on something, you should be prideful of what it is, not egotistical, but
Yeah.
prideful.
And that's the thing too. And I know we have females that listen to this podcast as
Mm-hmm.
well, but
Mm-hmm.
from a man's side, especially being a strength and conditioning coach, that it doesn't mean balling up your fists and puffing your chest out and showing your logo. That's not a
Mm-hmm.
man. A
Nope.
man is somebody that loves and puts their hand around somebody's neck and shows them, the truth and the way to God, and how to live their life, and to be a great boyfriend, husband, father. those are the true men out there. The true men and the true coaches aren't the one blasting this trash music and listening to these young athletes talk about girls and laughing with them. No, that's not setting the example
Yeah.
at all, right?
Yeah.
So that's being the difference maker. Those athletes will respect you more later, maybe not then, being the example, because that's how it works, right? When they grow up, they're going to realize, man, like, okay, I realize why coach was different or how he carried himself differently. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's the same thing for the women. For those of you listening,
same thing.
we're not just talking, like, it's the same thing for the women too, right? You women being, woman, and doing those same things, and acting, being prideful of who you are and the work that you're doing, and everything as well. And I agree with you. Love wins.
Yep.
Love truly wins. And love at times is me, getting on you for not doing the right things. And love is at times for me holding you to the standard, always, not wavering. And then love is us having a conversation, me putting my arm around you, giving you a hug, potentially crying with you. That's
Mm-hmm.
love, because it's
Yep.
care, and those are the examples we should be setting continually, not only with athletes, but with each other too, and being graceful, and helping people and understanding where they're coming from, and not being argumentative or manipulative, or like, do the right thing, and lead with your heart. And I think when you lead with your heart and you lead with love, it will always win.
That's right.
You
That's
know?
right. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Shelton, to wrap up here, I want to say thank you for your time. I think this conversation has been fantastic. The depth that was covered and the variety that was covered as well. Where can people find you at? And how can they work with you online, in person? What does that look like?
Yeah. They can reach out to me. I mean, our company's Instagram is at 13 Bar Performance.
Mm-hmm.
My personal Instagram is at Shelton G Stevens. But also my email is it's Coach Shelton Stevens at gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
So you can reach out to me anytime, and then we can connect. I'll share my cell phone with you if you want to talk shop or whatever. I'm always willing to talk to coaches about the tactical setting or just life. I mean, that's what it's about. It's a community, and we've all been through it. And but yeah, reach out to me anytime. Any questions that you have about what I've talked about and whatnot, I would love to talk with you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys, and reach out to him. Your website, as well, has a very good look to it. It's very clean. It's very simple. It's very easy to read, and very easy to navigate as well. So, I just want to acknowledge you today and say thank you for who you are first and foremost. Where you've been as well, and then what you guys are currently doing. And I think we always judge people on where they've been. Oh, like, is that person worth my time or not? But I don't think that at all. I think it should be who they are, and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. And so I just want to say thank you for your time today. It's been absolutely fantastic.
And I
I'm
appreciate
very
that.
interested in what you guys are still currently doing, and what you guys are working with. But I just want to let you know, thank you, and I'm very appreciative of you.
No, absolutely. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, definitely. So, guys, if you got one thing from this episode, just one, do us a huge favor, share this with a friend. Again, that's all that we ask. And, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Spotify, Apple, to leave a review literally takes 10 seconds of your life. If you would please do so, that would be much appreciated. But we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks, guys.